talking about the options for subscription in Autodesk software and the concept of the switch to a subscription model, or as maybe more commonly known as a leasing model versus own. So it's well publicized that the company is planning a transition from the way it's sold software traditionally, that is buying perpetual licenses and maintaining an annual subscription, to one that is really leasing software as you need it, when you need it, at a lower overall price, but we'll get into the details. One important, I guess, message that's been circulating, hopefully, and this is not the first time that anybody who owns Autodesk software has heard it, but the upgrade option for converting previous versions to current versions, that's ending. And so the time is running out. This coming month in January in the new year will be the final days to upgrade any previous versions at a discounted price. After that, so you basically live with the version you have, and if you need or want a current version, you would purchase a new license or subscribe to own that license, to use it. So again, you know, the time's ticking, and Murphy's Law, people and companies may wait till the 11th hour. We expect January to be a flurry of activity for people to be waking up to the realization that they've got software that's out of date, and really the benefits to having a current version might be the next topic of conversation once people realize that. So, I mean, the messages that you're seeing are flavored from Autodesk, and but they have a lot of value in them, and they're pretty simple to understand. There's a reason that people enjoy subscription, and here's some of those reasons. As well, the option that's becoming more prevalent in the software industry is subscribing versus owning a license. So these are all of the benefits that Autodesk promotes to choosing that option. And above all, I think flexible, even though it might seem out of place, that may be the biggest tipping point to choose this option. But we can describe that in a little more detail as we go. So again, you know, the subscription overview, to be tied to the company that manages and drives your software, I think is a good idea, and you know, this slide just indicates that. So moving forward, I guess anyone who does have software, whatever world you're in terms of subscription, these are the three options that are moving forward. We're not going to talk so much about the cloud service subscription. That might be saved for a future webinar. But today we're going to focus on, you know, the two types of both maintenance and desktop. And again, you'll recognize these symbols in communication from ourselves and Autodesk. In some of the basic features of subscription customers, you know, access to the latest software releases, cloud benefits are becoming more and more utilized by companies as the technology and concept becomes better and more widely accepted. And also technical support, we tend not to think of that until we need it, but it's extremely valuable. So just to highlight again what the maintenance subscription concept is all about, you have a perpetual license and you tack on a subscription service that for a period of time, any number of years, ties you into the latest software, the flexible licensing rights that include offshore and home use, the cloud services, and technical support. So combined, they are a compelling set of features and benefits that make subscription a very valuable purchase. The resounding theme for today is that option for perpetual licenses is being kind of usurped by this desktop subscription concept, where you have similar benefits to maintenance subscription, but you have a lower cost of entry. And the third section that talks about how easy it is to scale up and down could be, again, the factor that makes this the most compelling reason. As well, you reduce your risk based on the flexibility that comes with the features of desktop subscription. Cloud service, we're not going to, again, highlight on this too much, but it does have similar benefits to maintenance subscription. It's lending toward where companies are moving in a transparent fashion where the cloud serves as their host for data. Is that a good way to put it, Chris?
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So again, the biggest factor, I think, is in the last two columns where you can simplify collaboration between parties and companies in your value stream, as well as you streamline your workflows.
Right. Important to point out, I guess before we move on from that, this is an option for both types of subscription models for the software. There's a few products like Inventor where you have a totally cloud-based option in Fusion 360, but for the most part, the cloud services are going to be supplemental to your desktop software.
Absolutely. That's a great way to put it, Chris. Thank you so much. So, and I guess we want to throw a little carrot in here, a little point of conversation to think about over the holidays, and that is the, I guess, the announcement that there is an account that's comprehensive, that suits your needs, and hopefully is priced correctly so that people will enjoy any product that they find value in for under one account. So it kind of takes away the traditional notion of a pool of licenses that people can draw from and use either in a network or standalone fashion to you are driving the software that you need when you need it and you know, as you need it. And I'm not sure if that's a clunky way to say it, but it's certainly a different way to think about how you use and maintain software and purchase it. So we want to touch briefly on the Subscription Center from Autodesk, which is a great way to access and manage your software, either from different points of view, I guess. Right now, that Subscription Center is undergoing some changes that instead of going into the traditional screen that Subscription Center has, you will sign in with your Autodesk account and manage your software from there. So really, it's a single destination for all customers to track and manage your products, services, and subscription benefits.
If you go into this today, you will see that it is some of the subscription benefits have been rolled into the Manage account, some have not. By March of next year, everything should be rolled in, and you'll simply need to go into one account to manage all your software.
Awesome. So in a few short months, that'll be the way to go.
Right. Much cleaner.
Awesome. So, I mean, here's a little URL to check in for the details on the Autodesk account. Again, to see all of the subscription options and products and the benefits, they're listed here. So really, it's one place to access all of your software and services, which is you know, a popular and necessary trend, I think, that's developing.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely becoming much more intertwined. It's no longer, can you be successful just having desktop software? You need to leverage some of these other benefits they're giving you with cloud computing to be competitive. A render that maybe would take hours on a desktop computer can be done in the cloud in minutes.
Absolutely. And so we're just kind of flipping through quickly some of the benefits. And I think here's an important one that if you don't realize, when you have subscription, you're able to have a home version so that if your software exists in your desktop and you go home and you want to work at night, on the weekend, you have the ability to do that through a second serial number that's provided. And I guess we're just you know, finishing up this whole notion of you maintaining control of your software versus reacting to it. And so likewise, you can have all of your contract and renewal details view your cloud credit usage, which is another topic that's probably deserving of a webinar in itself. But the cloud credits are a very intriguing way to have Autodesk perform functions for you that either you don't have the computing power or the time or the resources to. So that's just a little teaser for another future webinar, but cloud credits are a product that are becoming more and more popular for people. Obviously, managing and user permissions is important too, and that's easily done with these user-friendly GUIs. So that's it for Autodesk Account. New and improved, coming in March, as Chris said, a single unified portal. So there are a lot of resources to gain as well inside, and we can certainly stay in touch with you to help you transition into the new way of managing Autodesk software. That's what we're here for. And I think at probably the halfway point, we're going to bring up the important and complex issue of pricing. So if you take a look at the screen, really we're using an example of vanilla AutoCAD, the flagship product that made Autodesk what it is, and just using some pricing comparisons to show you what the cost of the two subscription approaches are. So the first is the annual desktop subscription cost, and it's the same for every year. Of course, inflation may impact that, but for illustration purposes, we're showing you the
important point. This is MSRP. Obviously, hopefully no one joining us today is actually paying MSRP. You should be working with a reseller that can heavily discount that price for you. But for the sake of comparing apples to apples, we've used the MSRP for the products.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thanks for saying that for sure. And in doing so, it's relevant because as the cost comes down with discounts from resellers, so does the ratio. But the important point from the highlighted blocks and cells are that the two methods for obtaining subscriptions, the annual desktop at a lower cost and the traditional method of purchasing a perpetual license and let's say annual maintenance subscription service, you can see that you're about 3 times the cost for the second choice. But as you move through the years, things kind of even out. So on a dollar-to-dollar comparison, it's almost unfair just to look at it from a dollar-to-dollar comparison, but that's what people do, right? The accountants of the world.
Yeah, I think it is important to understand where you're getting into, and so I think what the slide is showing that are, depending on the product, we ran a number of different products through the different options here. And I guess to maybe expand on the bottom line a little more, what we're doing in the bottom line is taking the cost of the perpetual license plus adding in a maintenance subscription. Our opinion is it's not realistic to anymore purchase a standalone license and not have some kind of maintenance subscription with that license. So we're not even really addressing that. But what we're doing is we're adding up the cumulative cost of that license over the years. And so what you can see is in the year 3 and 4, they start to cross over. So in year 1, you clearly have a much larger expense in buying a perpetual license versus paying the $16.80 for a subscription. The difference is you're paying $16.80 continuously versus paying a much smaller maintenance fee per year when you buy the perpetual license. The downside is that as once you bought that perpetual license, you are in a challenging position if your workload changes. So if you have 10 AutoCAD licenses and you need that many this year, so you buy all 10 of them for $4,740 a piece. Well, if in another 2 or 3 years you find your workload has gone up or down, you have those licenses. Or you find that instead of AutoCAD you need Inventor. You own those perpetual licenses. There's not an easy way to transition those. I don't think we're confident that there's going to be any way in the future to cross-grade products. So with this annual desktop subscription or leasing the software, you have that flexibility. You can go from 10 licenses to no licenses in a year and simply stop paying that bill, and you haven't lost anything.
Absolutely. That's a great way to summarize it, Chris. And I think it's important to understand that we are talking about subscription on an annual basis, but Autodesk has come up with some very innovative ways to obtain the software. We haven't gone into it to a great level of detail, but there are options for periods of time less than a year. So, for example, if you have a project that's coming up that requires additional resources, that requires additional software, you can obtain software for as short a period as a 6-month block or a quarterly basis. And of course, I mean, you pay a little more on the premium for a quarterly basis. That kind of makes sense. But the point is that there are flexible ways for you to scale up, scale down, have exactly what you need through different purchase options.
Right, and that's a good point. I guess to put it into a real-world example, it's something we encounter. We do a lot of laser scanning, and we use Recap Pro. And Recap Pro is actually only available as a subscription or a lease. You cannot purchase a standalone license of Recap Pro. And in order to kind of manage that, we have one that we pay yearly. And that's usually enough given our various workloads. When we run into large projects that require multiple, where we can't get by with the one, we'll buy another one, but usually only for 3 months, maybe 6 months if it's a very large project. And it's a good way to sort of manage that cost. The other 6 to 9 months of the year, we're not paying for that license because we did not need it.
Absolutely. That's a great example. Again, real world, it's what we face. So we're not only a reseller, but we have a large portfolio that we manage of the software, Autodesk software that we use on a daily basis in a project fashion. So that's a good point to mention. And I don't want to be stuck on this slide, but it kind of opens the door for a great discussion on how do you control your dollar spend for capital resources, and if you consider software to be an asset, which I think is a logical argument, really, how do you do that? Do you soak a lot of money in on a perpetual license, or do you level it out with a subscription cost? So there's benefits to both, and really, I think that's where the financial come in. So, I mean, again, our position is that it's not necessarily right or wrong. It's what's right for you as a company. And the strength of PMC, I think we're a swift company that can help you analyze your portfolio objectively. There's nothing in it for us. Our goal is to make sure that anyone we talk to has the best information to make intelligent decisions. And really, that's what makes a successful business relationship.
Right, I think, yeah, and obviously it's complicated for each, not just for a company, but specifics within a company. In other words, maybe I have some perpetual licenses, I need a few more, do I need them for a year, do I need them for longer than that? And helping you kind of make those decisions and running the numbers for you is important. It helps you see the value of what you're going to get. There's different options, different things that can make a lot of sense. Does everyone need a suite? Can you get by with a few suites plus a few standalone products? Maybe you need 5 product design suites, 15 AutoCADs, and 5 standalone inventors. And maybe at the end of the day, that makes more financial sense than buying all factory design or product design suites. And as Autodesk kind of moves forward, these things get much more complicated. You may have several users who can get by with Fusion 360 in the cloud. They don't need a license of Inventor. That's going to save you a substantial sum of money. But you don't want to spend that money only to find out that Fusion 360 doesn't quite do what you need it to do.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a great example again. And so I'm just picking up on some of the points that you just talked about, and that's maximizing your value of the software. And just a little commentary, we've worked with a lot of companies to evaluate their portfolios, and a resounding theme is that it's sort of a forgotten issue until it becomes important, i.e. budget time, when things go wrong, when you're increasing your team size, when the needs change. So, I mean, our goal is to work with anybody who has the interest to be proactive in managing their portfolio, and that doesn't mean once a year, 90 days before your subscription is due, to kind of say, well, do we need to renew or not? Really, it's looking maybe every quarter at what your needs are and trying to fulfill those needs, so this becomes less of a headache and more of a progressive asset management.